Welcome to the Arts to Hearts podcast, a show where we take a peek into the hearts and lives of our favorite artists. From running a creative business and practice to mindset, we talk about everything that goes behind into making a life and a career that you adore as an artist. Think of this as your happy hour with your favorite artist in your studio. Hear them share the messy and the wonderful side of creating and living a creative, heartfelt life within and outside our studios. As you tune in, be ready to be inspired and encouraged. I'm your host, Charuka Arora, an artist, designer, entrepreneur, and founder of Arts to Hearts project. Thank you so much for being here. Let's jump right in. Before we get into this episode, I quickly want to remind you about a new open call. We at Arts to Hearts have collaborated with I Like Your Work, one of our favorite art podcasts and online platforms for arts. We have launched a new open call called Facade. This open call is for mixed media artists. Yes, all mixed media artists. For the first time, Arts to Hearts is going to host artists of all genders. And we are so excited to be shedding more light on mixed media artists this time. The deadline for this open call is 30th of October, and we are open to all mixed media artists from any part of the world. To submit, visit www.arts2heartsproject.com/submit. The selected participants of this open call will be a part of an online exhibit hosted on www.arts2heartsproject.com. This open call will be guest curated by Erica B. Hess, the creator and founder of I Like Your Work, an artist and curator. The selected participants of this exhibit will be a part of an online exhibit hosted on www.arts2heartsproject.com. Selected participants will also be a part of a documentary on mixed media artists that will be hosted on I Like Your Work and Arts to Hearts. Not only that, but Erica will also be selecting an artist to be interviewed on I Like Your Work Studio Visit series. So, my dear mixed media artists, this open call is for you. It is time that your work gets the recognition and the limelight it deserves. The open call ends on 30th of October 2021. So, submit now. Bye. Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Arts to Hearts podcast. This is your host, Charuka Arora, and I am back with another episode with a beautiful friend of mine, Laura. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's so good to see you again.
Absolutely. So, Laura, I am so excited to have you here because you're not only a great friend, but you're also such an amazing artist and a beautiful human being. And it truly is so special for me to have you here.
Thank you. You know, I feel the same about you. You've been such a good friend to me. And I think our journeys have run kind of parallel the last, 6,
Yeah.
8 months. So we've gone through a lot
Yeah.
of the same things. It's easy to relate.
Yeah. So Laura and I, before starting this call, Laura and I have spoken a bit, and we decided that we wanted to keep this as honest as we can. I mean, we would be 100% as we were before recording this call. And I just want to say that this episode we would be talking a lot about grief, illness, a lot of real things that has been something in my life, and I know in Laura's life. But I really want us to talk about it, and also talk about how all of these things have impacted our practice and who we are as individuals and as artists. So I just want to give a little disclaimer before, if this is triggering for you
Yes.
or if it troubles you, I would say you can skip this episode, hear another one, and come back when you're ready, and you will find us back here. Okay. So, Laura,
Yes.
before we go into the conversation,
Yes.
can you introduce yourself for anyone who's listening, who
Of
you are
course.
and what you do?
Yes. So I'm Laura Fedorowicz. I am from Canada, Ontario, Canada. I am a wife, a mom to 2 little girls, Kenley and Aubrey, and I am a pug lover. I have one little 12-year-old pug who's my best friend. I have been creative for as long as I can remember, and then when I had my first child, I came back to the actual painting aspect of creating art for myself. And since then, I've had a very up and down
Yeah,
relationship with creating. But I still love it, and I still consider myself an artist and a creative, even in the down times.
absolutely. Oh my God. You've opened the conversation with such an important point. And um, before we go into that, I just want to dig in a little bit about who you were. Can you talk a little bit about how you were growing up, and
Yeah.
also when did you first figure out about your illness?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was a regular little girl for the most part. Always loved art, creating from a young age. I My mom was a single mom when I was born, and I did have a severely traumatizing event when I was between the ages of 4 and 5, and so of course that shapes you as you grow up. So I grew up really fast, if that makes sense in terms of my view on the world. I was kind of very intuitive, very wise, I guess, for my age, and very trust issues, I guess you could say. I was a little girl who was always questioning everything. Does this person mean what they say? Is this a safe place for me to be? But for the most part, I love to create. Grew up on a farm with
Oh my
my
God.
mom. My mom got married, and I have four other siblings from her and my stepdad, and we grew up on a farm. I had pygmy goats as pets, guinea pigs. I've been an animal lover my
Oh,
whole life.
I love
Um,
you.
yeah,
That's I think one reason why both of us. I know, like every time you would post about your little lady, or I would post about my
yeah.
girls, we would always exchange kisses and hugs and all of that.
Oh, yes. Animals are just,
I know.
their souls, I feel like I'm on the same level as their soul, and more so maybe than a human sometime. So
I know.
I relate to them so much. So the animals have always been a part of my life. I had three pugs. We lost two. Now I have my old lady who's still here, and she's my world. But in my teen years, I was very quiet, tired. I wasn't able to be really physically active like a lot of my peers. Um,
Yeah.
and I didn't know about my illness then. I didn't have
What
a
age is
clue.
that?
So I didn't find out until I had my daughter in 2017, my second daughter,
Oh my God.
that I had Lyme disease. Um, but I had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, a whole bunch of other things for about 10, 12 years before I found out about the Lyme piece of it. So I was on medication to try and help with my nerve pain. Um, I was working through accepting the fact that I was a chronic pain patient and that was going to be my life. And then my brother actually did Lyme and co-infection testing, and he came back with a positive result for some co-infections. And my dad said to me, I think we need to get you tested because you've got a lot of crazy symptoms going on. I grew up on a farm. We played in the fields. Back then, nobody knew about ticks or
Yeah.
getting bitten.
Yeah.
Or so he's like, you know what? I'm going to pay for the test. We're going to send it off. Worst thing that can happen is we spent the money and it's not
Yeah.
an issue.
Which is the
So
best guess.
I mean, that would have been awesome. Like, nope,
Yeah.
negative. You're fine.
Yeah.
Um, and then that test came back. We tested privately through the United States, and it was positive. It was kind of a
Mm.
weak positive, but it was enough that the naturopath I was working with said, nope, this is something we got to deal with. It's causing havoc in your body. Um, and that was the first. I actually had a friend in the artist community who was undergoing Lyme treatment at that time. So I had heard of it.
Yeah.
Um, but I really, I didn't think that was me. I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh my God, because I feel like we feel like we understand that pain, we see that pain, but most of the times we think like, it's something that that happens to others because we've seen it happening to others, but
Mhm.
we not in a million thoughts we think like, that this would be
Mhm.
something that will happen to us.
Yeah. And in a way, when I got that diagnosis, I felt relief and I felt energized because I was like, a lot of the times in the chronic illness and chronic pain community, you have medical trauma where people are saying, depression,
Yeah,
anxiety, a lot of these things are likely causing your pain. And so when I got that result back, um, which wasn't recognized by the Canadian government, but when I got that back, it was energizing because it was like somebody believes me.
yeah,
There is something on paper that says, okay, Laura,
this
you have things at work in your body which are causing you to feel like you want to
this
stay in bed every day. So
yeah,
initially I
yeah,
was like, great,
yeah,
cool,
yeah, because
awesome.
also, I can, you're, this is so right, because what's even harder is when you go through that pain and you don't know where it's coming from. It's so
Yes.
hard to accept, I think, a pain that has no answers, a pain that has no
Hmm.
cause, and you are just in the dark and you are in pain and you don't know why or
Yeah.
suddenly that's happened. When you know the reason, and I think also when you know the problem, you can treat it. If you
Hmm.
don't even know the problem, you're far away from a treatment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So that was my first kind of foray into this. Okay, we can have a treatment plan. Um,
This was when you were having your second child.
Yeah, so when I was pregnant with Aubrey, I mean my main complaint was chronic pain and I had chronic sciatica. Like I was very immobile. I was struggling, especially being pregnant with all the added weight on me to get
Yeah.
around. And but even after she was here, nothing returned to normal. And in fact, my energy just plummeted, and I started having, like I'd lose feeling in my arms. I was at the mall pushing her around in her stroller one day and lost complete feeling in both of my arms. I
Oh
couldn't
my God.
feel to hold the stroller. I was by myself with a little baby in the stroller. And so things like that just started happening. And so then that's when we kind of said, like, there's got to be more than your fibromyalgia or, whatever that is, we got to look into it further because it was really starting to impact my daily life. And as a result, my family, my kids, my husband. Um, and from there, to be honest, it just spiraled. I just got worse and worse and worse. And if anyone's familiar with Lyme, there's different thinkings of you treat with herbals or you treat with long-term antibiotics. And I did those both for years. I was on so many medications, like 60 plus pills a day. I was doing
Oh my
injections.
God.
I was doing everything I had been told. Maybe if we do this, it'll help. Maybe if we do this, it'll help. And it wasn't moving the needle. So, I mean, there's the physical part of being ill, but then there's the mental part of trying to accept that this is my reality. What if I don't get better? I have two girls. I can't take care of them. How am I going to make this work? So it's
Let's
really a double edged
Okay.
sword.
While all of this was going on,
Hmm.
you mentioned that you got back into the creative being of yourself while you
Hmm.
were having your second baby.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. So I went to school. I got a bachelor degree from OCAD in Toronto, very prestigious university for art, in environmental design. And
Oh,
the critique in that 4-year period being in design school scared the crap out of little Laura. I was such a timid soul and I loved design and I loved being creative, but I didn't touch anything creative for 10 years after I presented my thesis and walked out of that university.
oh
I
my
was
God.
burnt out. So when I had Kenley, Kenley was born 2014. I went to Michael's. I bought some paints. I was like, I'm just going to dabble in it while she's napping. I need something for me. I was bored. I was stuck in the house with a baby and it was great. And it's an awesome period of your life, but I just needed
Yeah.
something for Laura. And so I
Yeah.
started painting during her naps and enjoying it thoroughly. And that was when Instagram was a baby. Like Instagram was still in diapers at this point. I had,
What year was this?
this, like, they were so little at that point. Like, what was a hashtag? I don't even know. And so I started sharing it, and it became a business out of nowhere. And that took me by surprise. Number one, because in the time that came after that, I started feeling sick. So having a business out of something that I truly loved and that was something that I could
Yeah.
manage with my health, it was the universe taking care of me during that time period, because I wouldn't have been able to work out of the house. I wouldn't have been able to hold down a steady job. So that time period, that business building out of nowhere, that was the universe. That was the gift. And it kind of held me through that time period.
I can, I feel like you're just taking words out of my mouth because, and I hadn't experienced this. I can truly, truly relate to you right now because I never felt this way before. But I have started feeling this recently because, I feel like when, when God, universe, or whatever we believe in
Mm-hmm.
takes something that really matters to us, be it,
Mm-hmm.
our health, or our for me, let's say my mom, or like,
Mm-hmm.
anything that means so much or that shakes our existence and makes it difficult
Yes.
for us to move forward.
Yeah.
It universe also comes forward, and in a way it takes care of you because it knows that how
Mm-hmm.
hard it is.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt this way because, ever since my mom's gone,
Mm-hmm.
and this is something I've also journaled recently, I think last yesterday or day before, and I've written this in my journal, exactly what you said, that
Yeah.
I know that this pain is here. I know that
Mm-hmm.
that you've taken something away from me and which has made something so hard, but I
Mm-hmm.
can also know, I can also feel that you're here, you are doing things in a way that you're making sure I'm taken care of in these
Yes.
hard days.
Yes. And it can
um,
be both. And that's something I've had to learn, being
oh my
somebody who
God.
struggles so much with health. It can be both.
I know, and it's we don't think that way, and I think I just wish that nobody ever has to experience this. And
Yes. Oh, yeah.
if you find joy only, but the reality of life is also that
Mm-hmm.
there is joy, but there's also pain. Yeah, we all have
Yes.
our own own intensities of pain,
Mm-hmm.
but um I love how you're even saying this because I feel like my wound is very fresh right now. I
Mm-hmm.
don't
Of
even know.
course. Yeah.
I don't even know that how I'm going to feel in future, in next 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
20 years. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even know how those are going, if they are going to be there or how they're going to be there.
Yeah.
But you have been living with this
Mm-hmm.
for so many years, and you're saying this, and it's so inspiring to hear from you because
Thanks.
it's I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to keep this energy is so inspiring.
Yeah, that's had to be the overarching thing that I always remind myself, even in the darkest of times, is that, my eyes have been open to so many wonderful things through my illness. And I have had to learn to trust myself through illness, because I've had to be my own advocate when nobody believed me. And for a
Yeah.
little girl who had trust issues pretty much from the
Yeah.
jump growing up,
Yeah.
learning to come home and to trust yourself and being like, no, something's off in my body. I'm going to speak up about it. Learning that trust again, and being able to carry that trust that things are beautiful despite the pain, has been the biggest learning in this whole journey of health, wherever I am on the line of it. We don't know yet, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. It is. I mean, there's no way around it. It is hard, and there's lots of days that are hard. But I think the more people like me who have an illness or who have a pain or who go through tragedy put words to it and voice it and put a face to it's going to benefit everybody.
Yeah. How was I know that we'll break this into two parts, but let's also talk about the first part because I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
also very important. you've had your illness, you've got your treatment also, and you're in the second stage of, how things turn up post that. But
Yeah.
before that, how was your relationship? How has art um, played? What role has art played for you in this process of um, pain? And
Mhm.
also something that comes to my mind is that you already have so much on your plate. Like, you are a mom of two girls, which I'm
Yes.
sure isn't like, it's overwhelming. It's a lot of dedication
Yes.
that we need to give. You are, of course, you're a wife, you have a lot of
Yep.
responsibilities, and then you're going through chronic pain, and then you're
Mhm.
running this successful business that you've I want you to say it. You are running this successful business that you've built
I've built twice,
twice.
and my health has tanked it twice.
Oh my God.
So,
How are you doing it, and why you're doing it? Let's talk about that.
um, how and why? Well, gosh, that's a good question. So art for a long time, like stemming from childhood trauma,
Yeah.
growing up, I always painted, and still to this day, like you can't keep me away from a bright color. Things are always vibrant and energetic, and very rarely, more subdued. And I think that's a bit of inner child stuff, to be honest. I think I'm creating a world in which I would want to live in, and a world in which I want my girls to grow up in.
Yeah.
Something that's happy and supported and safe and beautiful, physically beautiful. And so that's one part of it. And in terms of the building the business, I mean, the universe gifted me my business at first. It was definitely like I didn't know any strategy, nothing. The universe said, "You're going to need this. Here's your income." Because being sick is really expensive. Let's just
Expensive.
put that out there. So the
Yeah.
universe gave me it the first time. And along the way, I learned a lot about being a business owner. And then health came along, and, health is a cyclical type of. So in the downtimes, I wasn't able to do my art or my business, and I had to prioritize my kids and my husband and my rest and my treatment. So twice monetarily, my business has slid from being super awesome to womp, 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 which is, I mean, it's okay. But the second piece of the question of why do I rebuild it, or why do I have that dedication to rebuild it, really comes down to wanting to break the cycle of um, trauma and struggle for my girls. I want them to see that mommy can be all sorts of tired, or, you know, they don't actually know that I'm sick, which is a totally different thing. They know mommy's body
Yeah.
is different. Um,
Oh,
but I want them to know that you can do hard things, and that
yeah.
you can take something from nothing and you can build it. My daughter wants to be an artist and a mommy when she grows up. So to me, regardless of the monetary stuff, that is me showing her that whatever your passion is, you stick to it, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh my
So,
God.
mhm.
This is, I just don't, I honestly feel like I can anytime try in this conversation, honestly.
Yeah, I know it gets pretty emotional, especially like I picture my two little girls, and they have a great childhood. Mind you, they're going through COVID being little, and they don't really kind
Yeah.
of understand
And
that.
it's, yeah.
But just the more power and trust in themselves I can give them as they're growing up, I think, I
Yeah.
mean, it's gonna serve them in their future for sure.
Yeah. And I think um, when you go through trauma in your early years,
Hmm.
or you feel unsafe, or
Hmm.
all of those things, and different kinds of things that we pick, and I can relate to them myself also. Um, we understand the importance of feeling safe, and
Yes.
how I'm not even a mother, and I feel like it's so deeply ingrained in me, because be it my dogs, which are like my own children for me,
Yes.
or be it my niece who's
Hmm.
just been here, or anyone who's close to me. I think, because I understand what it means to not feel safe, I feel like
Hmm.
I want to make sure that whoever is in my life, who's close to me, that they feel safe, because
Hmm.
when you don't have something, you know the importance of having it and how much a
Yes.
difference that can make.
It makes all the difference in the foundation of feeling safe. I mean, even with chronic illness, you have to learn how to feel safe in your body, even when your
Yeah.
body a lot of
Oh
times
my God.
it
Yeah.
seems like it's betraying you. There are days you can't get
Yeah.
out of bed, or you're so symptomatic that it would be very easy to turn, and I've done it some days, and say, what the heck is wrong with you, body? Like, what
Yeah.
now? Like, we just healed this one thing and now we're working on this. But ultimately, despite the being symptomatic, feeling safe, whether it's in your own body or in your environment, it's the basis of, of really being able to succeed and stay in your lane, and just being so traumatized that you're literally always digging out, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. That it absolutely does. Okay. How has your art making evolved with your health and your
Mhm.
relationship with just making art?
Well, art has been a savior for me throughout being sick, and through some really dark times. Just, when I work, I come to my studio, I turn on some music, um, and I just paint and I see what comes out. And it's always coming from inside. I never go into it with a plan as an abstract artist. It's literally an expression of emotion on the paper or on the canvas. And so that, to me, I don't want to necessarily say therapy, because I don't want to say I'm spilling, all the struggle out onto the canvas, because it doesn't come out that way. What comes out is potentially this imagining of a feeling of not being in pain,
Yeah.
of freedom, of,
Yeah.
hey, like, being healthy. What does that world that I live in of being healthy and happy and full of energy, what does that look like to me? And that's what kind of comes out on the canvas, is these imaginings of this feeling of being solid.
Yeah. And also, I think you really put it right, because we spoke about this earlier also, and I feel like this moment of flow, like that we call
Hmm.
about, when making
Yeah.
art. But this, I think, what truly is the hard and the good part. The hard part is that when you are in pain, it's just so hard to disconnect,
Yes.
even if you want to. Like, I, in the past 5 months, have tried so hard. I told you about it. I have tried so hard to get into that place, because I know, because that's truly the only place that makes me feel disconnected from what my current
Hmm.
reality is.
Hmm.
And that is the hard part, because it just doesn't work for me right now. It's
Hmm.
because it just doesn't. I don't know how to make that possible. I just don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And the other part is, once you go on the other end, that is what heals you. That is what
Hmm.
liberates you from your pain, because at the end of the day, you need to come back to your reality.
Hmm.
And once you get into that disconnect zone,
Hmm.
you start feeling yourself again, even if it's
Yes.
momentarily.
Yeah, the pain kind of fades into the background when I'm creating, to be honest. And I think, um, that's why I looked for so many opportunities to paint in the big portion of my illness, where I was so sick. I literally should have just, been throwing it all to the wayside and saying, I need to rest, I need to focus. Mind you, I did. Rest is a big part of my life and probably always will be. But I needed that mental escape from being sick and from being in pain. So I searched it out. Um, Post going to Germany
Yeah,
and feeling a little bit better, and um, being an artist or connecting with my art felt very different. Um, Mostly because I don't know the state of my health at this point.
yeah,
But who are you with, if in the ideal situation my pain and my illness were to just fall by the wayside? Who are you without that? Because for so long that has been such a big part of who I am. So if that
Yeah.
truly, if I were to win the lottery of health and no longer be in pain or tired or sick, who the heck would I be? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then that is in relation to art. If you don't know who you are and you're not comfortable with where you are,
Yeah.
your art is never going to feel authentic because your art
Yeah.
is all about you,
Yeah.
truly, when it
Yeah.
boils down.
And you know, we spoke about this, and I, for me and for you, the weird thing is that, uh, for me, the pain that has come has made me lost my purpose and question me who I am, and what am I really doing? Not only as an artist, but like there's a complete lack of identity. There's like you
Yes.
lose your
Hmm.
ground, you lose
Hmm.
everything that you associate yourself with, your life, your identity. And for you, I feel like it's the gain. It's the gain of something, because you had to accept the association of your pain and your art, and now you were free of it. So, but you were gaining your health,
Yeah.
and that's shifted paths for you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how has your experience been, with art making, your business, social media, all of those things, ever since you've been back. Because of course, like let's also, I think like it's high time that we accept the fact that when we say that we're artists today,
Yeah.
it's just not going back into the studio and being in one side of the corner, which we
Yeah.
just spoke about that. If
Yep.
it were anything that tosses over our own practice and our own making, like we both said it wasn't worth for us. But
Yeah.
social media or like business, all of these are part
Hmm.
of us, our system. How
Hmm.
has that affected, and how has your experience been?
So I guess what I'll say is I went to Germany for 3 weeks for inpatient treatment for Lyme disease, and that was really intensive. And I can't lie, I loved every second of it because I felt like I was uplifted, I was supported, people believed you. Um, and I came back from Germany feeling, I would say, close to 100%. Like I was like, whose body is this? I have not felt pain free in so many years. But that was a mind twist for me, when it comes to my art. Um, First of all, I was told when I came home, you're still in recovery, you're still healing. It's going to take years
Yeah.
for your body to rebuild its strength, and you need to rest and not put a lot of stress on yourself. So I was doing that, and I was painting here and there. It just didn't feel like me. I don't know, everything I made, I was just the inner critic was louder. Maybe that's a better way to put it. I felt like imposter, and I hadn't felt that way in years because, again, I didn't know who I was coming out of treatment. And I think there was a lot of pressure on me too because there was a GoFundMe to help me go to Germany, and people so generously donated. When you do something as out there as go and pay all this money for a treatment, people expect you to come home over 100% because
Yeah.
people who haven't experienced chronic illness, it's black and white to them. You're either sick or you're
Yeah.
not. It either worked or it didn't. So I came home feeling a lot of pressure to get back into it and be that Laura and start making again and start pushing the business. And
There's this thing of paying back,
yeah.
because I feel like so like when people support you when you're struggling,
Hmm. Hmm.
be it financially, mentally,
Hmm.
emotionally, whatever way, when you feel, and I think with that, of course, when you're getting that support, you feel like you're recovering, things are getting better.
Hmm.
But that I feel like that's also just the air that makes you feel, because we don't understand how long that healing takes. But
Yes.
there's this also, our mind works in this way that it's like this quick fix. We feel like, oh, now that we've received the support, I'm feeling better, now it's time to pay back. Oh, because this
Yes.
person, like we feel like morally, like I'll say something, and it's something that stuck to my mind for like, I remember talking to Kat, and Kat's been there with me for the past 2 years, and she's been she's been so kind and incredibly supported, and the art queens, all of you. And I remember one day we were just chatting, and she of course did something, and I told her that I don't know. I feel like I told her, I literally had to tell her because I did, it was making me feel so heavy. I told her, like, you've done so much for me, you've supported me in ways that I couldn't even expect from anyone, and I just don't know that how am I going to pay you back for all the support that you've offered me through
Correct.
all these two
Yeah.
years. And
Yeah.
she said to me, uh, something that's really changed my perspective is that, if I would have felt, if I would have thought that way, I wouldn't have reached anywhere, because she was homeless at some point, and she said,
Yes.
like, so many people I have moved forward in my life because so many people generously helped me.
Yeah.
If I would have caught back in the loop of giving back instantly, I would have
Yes.
not been able to come where I am.
Yeah.
And she said, like, you don't have to give back anyone. Just
Hmm.
give forward whenever you are ready.
Right. Yeah.
And it just shifted my thought. It literally,
Absolutely.
it took that it took that burden on my shoulder that I was
Yeah.
carrying
Yeah.
away, and I was like, yeah, that makes so much sense.
It makes so much sense. Yeah. And I think that coming home from Germany, what I felt was so different is that I had this desire to not be seen. And I
um,
don't know if it's like a healing thing or if I was like protecting the body or if I was like, but like I have said to you before, like social media
yeah,
these days, and I'm still in a healing pattern and figuring things out, has felt like oil and water because I'm in such
yeah,
an introspective time in my life that it's not about, followers or likes or anything. It's just about that being seen. And
yeah,
I think sometimes we go through periods where you just don't want to be seen,
yeah,
and that's okay. And I think truthfully, that's what the last probably year has been like for me, is not wanting to be seen. So I've had to accept that that's okay. And then also accept that, in certain ways that is going to impact my business. And I have to be okay with that because that's the choice that I've made. Um, that was a tough one. That was a tough one, letting go of, because leading up to Germany, I was on socials all the time. I was interacting. I was sharing my story. I was out there as a face of Lyme disease, telling my
yeah,
story. And then I've come back and I didn't want to share my story anymore. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, this is new to me. So, you make the choice for your heart and soul, and then you just have to accept what comes after
yeah.
that.
And I think, I can relate to this because, like, of course, that's why we're doing this episode, but it's also because we come from a place of, like, while we spoke about this, I also felt the same way after my mom, and I like,
Hmm.
and I feel like my at least my reason for that was, I knew I wanted to make progress. I knew I had to move forward. Of course, there was a stage where I had no acceptance. Then there came a stage where
Hmm.
I honestly, and it's even not that black and white. I feel like at some point I feel I have to accept it, and at some point I feel like
Hmm.
I have total denial of reality.
Yes.
I know I can feel those moments where I purposely escape from the fact that this is what the reality is.
Right.
And at
Hmm.
some point, I am just forced and I know that this is what the reality is. But
Hmm.
I feel like the reason why I wanted not to be seen was I knew how fragile I was. And I
Yes.
would say I am, because I knew
Yeah.
that the amount of, it was like I had to take like 100 time efforts, like 100 efforts to put myself back again.
Yeah.
And I know that one little skip, one little fold would pull everything down, and I had to
Yes.
protect myself from that.
Yes. That makes so much sense. And you know what? That probably has been, contributing to that introspection and the literal protection of my space and my mind and my outlook. And then I'm also, um, I've always been super sensitive, super empathetic, um, and just the heaviness of the world the last while, um, too, I think has really had me kind of pulling back from sharing a lot. So I think it was kind of like all rolled into one for me in terms of making time for the healing away from the eyes, but also not knowing how to digest when so many people around us were all struggling.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Um, let's also talk a little bit about the new you that you felt and that you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling. How and about that person, the new Laura. And I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
wherever things go, any experience, any life milestone experience, anything big that we experience, it reshapes us. It
Mm-hmm.
redefines who we are, and then
Mm-hmm.
that redefines who we are as an artist also. And I know that we
Mm-hmm.
you also feel that way. For me, it's
Mm-hmm.
been incredibly hard for the past like 6 months to even approach my work.
Yep.
I don't even recognize a lot of who I am right now, let
Yep.
alone my work. And that's been a big
Mm-hmm.
struggle. It's like I need to pull myself again, and I need to
Mm-hmm.
redefine, I need to refigure. I know you've
Mm-hmm.
been in the similar space. Can you
Yeah.
talk about that?
Yeah. Um, Everything has felt foreign, paintbrush to paper or canvas, and the relationship to that of why does it feel so different, has been very strange. There have been times where I've literally grieved for my art because I
Yeah,
didn't see that I would ever be able to come back to it.
yeah,
And whether
yeah,
that was imagined in my own head, I mean, I don't know.
yeah,
But I literally was like, the ship has sailed. I don't feel the
yeah,
same towards my art. I used to have this drive that would bring me to the studio and I had to paint, or
yeah,
I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have colors in my brain and, I had to get certain things out on paper. And creativity just hasn't been visiting me that way anymore.
yeah,
It just
yeah,
hasn't been knocking on my door going, "Hey, I've got an idea for you.
yeah,
Let's do this." I don't have that at this point. And I can't lie and say that I've figured it out because I haven't. I've
yeah,
been back in the studio. I
yeah,
created a new line of, cases for Casetify, and that felt awesome because I just went into that with a goal of I want to make little pockets of happy, because you have your cell phone, you put it in your pocket or your purse, you pull it out, it brings people happy. So I envisioned myself sending out little messages of happy to all these
uh,
collectors who are buying the phone case. So that felt really great. But in terms of doing big canvases or really working out where I want to go next, it's all up in the air. I, I don't know. Yeah. And just, the girls being home over the last year and a half, I felt like my concentration was pulled so many different ways that even when I was in the studio, I wasn't giving it a fair shot. I was there because I felt I should be, but it wasn't necessarily the right time for me to be in the studio. So they are back at school now, and so really, what I'm just focusing in on giving myself permission to go into my studio, to spend an hour or two making art, whether it be bad or good, and just to not have the business mindset of it, not to create this piece and say, oh, this is going to this partner, or this is going to this partner, or I can make money off it XYZ. Literally just sitting there, putting on my music, finding my space again, and feeling comfortable with a paintbrush, because the day that that happens, I just know the creativity will come rushing back in, but I'm not there yet. But at least one foot in front of the other, get in there every day, spend some time, and build some sort of momentum, and we'll
yeah,
see. It'll come
yeah,
at some point.
yeah, it'll come. I know. I'm positive it'll come. It'll come for us. It'll come for us. And you know, the hardest part is, so I think like for me, I personally treat my practice in two parts. The one is my studio practice, and the other
Mm-hmm.
is hearts to hearts.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like both of them are a very important and crucial part for me as like for being an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them have very different nature of work.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardest part, whereas, running hearts to hearts wasn't like of course, it was hard. It was hard coming
Mhm.
back, but
Mhm.
it was, I know, I still remember the first time I had to come back to recording and pick up my mic again. It was so hard. But even then, it was relatively easier because I was still surrounded by people. I was having conversations. I just, I had to push myself here till this conversation. And I knew that once I am here, I will find my way. But with the studio practice, I think what was so hard for me was going back into that isolation, because that
Mhm.
means I had to face my reality. That means
Yes.
I had to ask those hard questions to myself. And what was even harder was because, and I told you that earlier also, that when I
Mhm.
first started getting into the arts, it was just pure joy. It was just joy of
Mhm.
making. Just,
Yep.
there was no concern what your work,
Mhm.
what is my theme, what is my inspiration.
Yep.
The joy was just creating.
Yep.
And now when I try to reapproach my work, I had so many inhibitions. Oh, I had to make this.
Mhm.
Oh, I had to, oh,
Mhm.
this is not the kind of work I make, and all of that. And I lost that
Mhm.
joy. And
Mhm.
I need to say this out loud because I know I'm not alone. I really know that.
Yes.
I know it from
Yes.
in my heart that I'm not
Mhm.
alone, that I lost my joy. And at some point,
Mhm.
I said that it's not worth it for me. If I'm losing my joy, I'd rather not do it.
Yep. Yep.
And I told you what really saved me out of this situation was the tiny book and that tiny palette.
Yep.
That brought me that joy that nothing brought me. I did not care if
Yeah.
I wasn't making money. I did not care if I
Yep.
wasn't painting those canvases. What I really wanted to care about was just creating, because it made me feel good.
Yeah, and you know what? And when you first told me that, I said, you never know where that little miracle is going to come from. And so for you, it was literally this little tiny, like I think that's your step one of finding the joy again. And I had a sketchbook when I was actually in Germany, and I used to sit in my hospital room with my
I
IV
remember.
running, and I brought this little tiny watercolor set, and I've never really done anything with
Amazing.
watercolor in my life, but I literally just through treatment, I was just putting color on the page, and I look back on that sketchbook. Nothing is absolutely spectacular about the work, but the feeling that was portrayed, the
Yeah.
authenticity that is in that book is something I've been trying to
Yeah.
find in the year since I've been home. That was still a super authentic point in my art career. And so until I can rebuild that authentic relationship with myself and my art, just the two of us in my little
Yeah.
studio, I'm not even going to push the business side because
Yeah.
like you said, if the joy isn't there, I mean, your business is just going to, it's going to flop in some way or the other because you need the joy as a
Yeah. New
basis.
joys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That's so important. Oh my God. I feel like we've this has been so incredible. I feel like we've spoken about such important things, and
Yeah.
I feel like I feel so much better even talking to you right now, even like we've spoken about before and now,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
it just does not, and we are experiencing pain in very different forms. And
Yes.
even then, and it's just not about that. We like, I feel like these questions and these experiences, um, come into our lives in different forms. And a lot of
Mm.
times when people don't, like, I feel like I'm alone, but truly, am I?
Mm. Right. Yeah.
My pain may be unique. I mean, what
Yes.
I'm experiencing may be unique,
Yep.
but I'm not alone. There are so many out
Yeah.
there who still feel the same way.
Absolutely. And knowing that you're not alone and knowing that, other people have walked that path or are walking that path does it does such a it does so much for you in your own pain. Um
Yeah.
yeah, so it's always good to share. I mean, and I'm an open book when it comes to pain, illness, all that kind of stuff. So it feels good to let other people who may be facing that to know like you can be okay in the down period. You can be
Yeah.
sick, you can be pain, you can feel totally out of your body and not know where you're going. And you know what? You're still okay.
Yeah.
You still find
Yeah.
direction eventually. So in that moment, you're still okay.
Yeah. And I think it's also because we are so much we're always in so much of rush because,
Yes.
also the age that we're living in, because no matter whatever we say, no matter whatever we say, I know I'm going to say this out loud because
Mm-hmm.
in the past 1 year, there's so much that's happened in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I have tried my best to put in whatever I can in Arts to Hearts and keep pushing the
Mm-hmm.
needle. And I know even like there's so many people who would reach out to me and they would say like, they're so inspired of how Arts to Hearts
Mm-hmm.
is happening and everything. But if you ask me, I feel like I'm moving on a like on a turtle's speed because
Mm-hmm.
um, I had planned like different ways,
Yeah.
completely different ideas of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I'm not even doing 5% of it.
Yeah.
But for my art practice, I can't. For arts art, I could still speak, I could still talk, I could still,
Mm-hmm.
you know, do something. But with my own practice, I did not know. I just
Mm-hmm.
did because I did not know who I am as a person. I did
Mm-hmm.
not know how to even address who I am as an artist. And I
Yeah.
felt completely like I remember rushing myself into it and I had a
Mm-hmm.
complete breakdown. I had a complete
Yeah.
breakdown and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I can't do this to myself. I'm going to, whatever step I'm going to take forward, if I do this to myself, I'm going to go 100 steps backward because
Yes.
it's going to push me down. It's not going to lift me up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this
Yep.
boundary that we need to draw.
Yeah. You need to, I can't speak to this enough and I need to say it. You need, as uncomfortable as it is, to step out of that rat race and not be seen or not create or question your worth. Like, if that's where you are in your life, that needs to be okay. And it goes back to the gift of the universe giving me my business in the first place when it came out of total left field. And I was like, what? You can make money off this? Like, the universe has my back now, just like it
Yeah.
did back then. Does it look
Yeah.
different? Yeah. But, I was introduced to a new practitioner with some other health issues that have come up who literally is a gift to me. So the universe is gifting me these things all around. But if I don't have my eyes open and see it as a gift because I'm so focused on my
And
plan is to be in the studio and my plan is
yeah.
to make XYZ happen this month, I'm missing all these other little gifts around me. And so I've learned the last little while I've been sitting and stewing in my uncomfortableness, that sometimes the gifts are outside of your, peripheral vision and you need to look a little bit harder for them. But
Yeah.
they're still happening regardless of what my plan is or not. So
Yeah.
I know the business will come in its own way. The opportunities that are there for me will still be there. And it's the same for you. Whenever that spark returns on whatever timeline that is, the opportunities that were meant for you are going to be there, whether it's 8 months down the road, 6 years, XYZ. We're still young. I got a lot of life
Yeah.
left in me. Even if I feel like a 90-year-old some days, I still have a
Yeah.
lot of time to make it work. So
Yeah.
sometimes letting go of that and just finding the little miracles outside of our plan is the best thing you can do, I think.
I love that. I love that. Okay. On this note, let's also talk
Yes.
about a few things that are making you happy. What's making you the most happy right now?
My kids are back in school, and not for the reason that not for me to have, the time, but I think the inspiration is going to build and come back to me because seeing the look on these kids' faces, being able to be with friends or learning, or my little one just started junior kindergarten and she has all these stories about what they've done. And, she's learning about the letter S at school and all these things, just them being so excited about the little things. Like, it was picture day at school today and it's like the biggest thing, just remembering that joy.
Yeah.
Like, when did we lose that ability to see? Like, my friend gave me a best friend necklace. She has not taken that thing off in 2 weeks because it's the best thing and life is so good. And seeing that in their lives is so inspirational to me, um, because I'm soaking that joy in. So if you ask me what's making me happy right now, it's their little faces and seeing it, mirrored in a ton of kids around who are finally able to be with friends and be social. But it's just remembering how little things can give you such joy if you let them. Um,
Yeah.
and to just shift your focus a little bit. I've just been learning to shift my focus. I've had some other health things that have come up recently that I don't know if they're going to be a big deal. They might be, they might not. But instead of hyper focusing on them, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
look elsewhere and find the happiness in the day to day. So right now, that looks like smiles on my girls' faces. Life is crazy.
Uh,
It's crazier with them in school, but the happiness is there. So,
yeah. Love that. Love that. Okay. I am so grateful for this conversation. I think I needed this for myself more than anything else. And I I just I I want to say a big, big thank you, because it takes courage to accept. It takes courage to only accept, let alone share
mm-hmm,
what we feel. I know how hard it gets to put yourself out there, and
mm-hmm.
it's easier to share your joys, but to
Yes,
share that pain, share that pain, and
yes,
especially to share an ongoing pain, a pain that
mm,
that has maybe, like, you don't know an answer to. I know
yes,
how hard that is.
yeah.
And I really appreciate you, well, not only here on the podcast, but I know you've been so wonderful and so supportive and just so kind always. And thank you so much for being here. But we are going to do the most favorite thing that I love, which is the
Okay,
rapid fire.
okay,
I will. This is how we're going to end this episode,
okay,
which is with a fun rapid fire. I have a set of questions that I'll ask you,
okay,
and we'll change the tone of this episode
okay.
altogether. And this
Fab.
will be, yeah, this will be
Let's
our
do
lift
it.
up and everyone who's lift up. So you have to give me anything that comes to your mind. Okay,
Ooh,
there's
okay.
I'll be very strict, and you'll be on time, and there's no cheating, there's no right
Okay,
and wrong.
okay.
Okay, one thing you want to convey through your work in the arts.
Wonder.
Okay, what's that one word that describes you the best?
Persistent.
Absolutely. Courageous. That's my word for you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Okay, this is my favorite questions. Okay. If
Okay.
you could have a studio anywhere in the world, where
Mm-hmm.
would it be?
Italy.
Really?
Yeah,
Will you invite me?
for sure.
Will my girls
Absolutely.
be allowed? I'm
There
going
will
to
be
come with my
there
three
will be
girls.
so many dogs there. You won't even like. It'll be just like the dog hair comes free with the painting. I don't know. Like it's
Oh my
just
God.
yeah.
Oh, we'll have it. Let it not be just the dogs. Let's have the hens, everyone.
Everything. Everything. We'll invite them all.
Oh, we are going to, like, I am putting it out for you. This is going to
Yes.
happen, and I'm going to come. I'm going to come
Absolutely.
every year.
Perfect. I love it.
Maybe I'll just, perfect. Your biggest source of inspiration.
My girls.
Just so adorable. They look so cute.
Oh, they're little stinkers, but they are cute. Yeah. No, I love them. They're really good. But yeah.
Okay, who's your favorite women artist?
Oh no. That is extremely difficult.
Anyone, any point of time, anyone, anything, anyone that comes to your mind.
Oh, you stumped me. Oh, there's no quickness here. Like this is like I would have to study for years. Frida?
I think this is the most, like, the first thing that comes to your mind when we're so conceived is Frida,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, your go-to person when you're in trouble or in need of advice.
My husband.
I'm sure that how I can only imagine how incredible he must be, because he's been through with you for all of these things, and
Oh,
I'm sure
he has
he was with us.
he has shouldered. Yeah, he was trying to troubleshoot with us yesterday. Yeah, he has shouldered for so many years. He was, working, doing the groceries, cleaning the house, taking care of the kids. Yeah, and he's very good at reminding me when I get into my hyper focused states of what is my future going to look like health wise? He's just very good at pulling me out of that and just saying, whatever it is, we deal with it. So I got to give him the credit.
Cheers for him. He was so
Yes.
patient with us even yesterday.
He is. He has a lot of patience to put up with me for sure.
That was on me.
Yeah. It's good old technology. That's how it works.
Yeah, but it was fun though.
Yeah. Hey, we got to spend time together at least.
Figuring things out.
Yeah. Or trying to.
Oh, yeah. This, I'm sure you'll love this question. And this is more than one word. Okay. I'm sure there must have been many, and I know there will be so many.
Yeah.
But can you share any one little experience, memory that you would want to share with us that just makes you feel so grateful to be an artist? Something, just one of your favorite moments.
It's always got to be the client reactions. I had a commission that I did once in honor of someone had gone through a very hard time, and they were drawn to my art because of my ability, obviously, to understand and kind of empathize with how, when things get tough, how to still find the beauty, and just sending off that painting and getting the reaction of, things will be okay. For some reason, us in our conversations about building this commission and, becoming a bit of a friendship level, and then finally them seeing that energy and that wish. And, I wrote something on the back, like brighter days are always ahead, and things of that. And just making the impact in that second, that's always got to be it. Yeah. It's always about how you can make people feel with your art. And how varied that can be. Everyone can relate to your art in different ways, and the magic of that is never lost on me.
Yeah. Love that. I can so agree to that, because that's truly a memorable experience every time. It never feels old.
It never gets old. I could do it over and over and over. If I'm blessed enough to do it for years to come, I will.
Okay, my next question is, if you were to meet younger Laura today,
yes,
what advice would you give her?
Now, this is an emotional one for me. My gosh, little Laura. Little Laura always knew she was meant for more. That, there was always this reassurance, even though I felt so other than so many people, there was always this, like, I'm meant for more. And I would just say, spend some time really figuring out exactly how it is to feel in your body and in your mind, and to just be okay with that. If you feel that otherness, it's not a big deal. That otherness felt like such a big deal to me when I was growing up, because I was, not into the same things, or I didn't have the same energy, or I felt so different. And to me, that otherness and the fact that I've dealt with all that stuff in my life, it's actually a real gift. Like, that is exactly now at 36 what makes me me. So not to be afraid of being other. Like, that's just, you are who you are, and embrace it.
Yeah, that's such a good thought. Absolutely. I do feel the same way, because there's another, I think I read this somewhere, which was, it's not, a lot of times people try to elevate the pain, how our pain has shaped us, or has evolved us, or like all of those things. But honestly, it's our courage. It's our courage that's literally made us who we are. And let's not only talk about the pain, but let's also celebrate our courage, because it's not easy. It's definitely not easy to go through, to get out of these situations. Like, it takes a lot of courage, and then it shapes who you are every time.
Yeah, courage is a big word for me. I actually tattooed "Courage, Dear Heart" on my forearm in the midst of my illness. So I see it every day. It says "Courage, Dear Heart." And I think, with courage, you can get through any of it. You really can.
See, I got the right word for you.
You did. You picked it. It's all with me forever. It's always there.
Yeah, it is yours. It is meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. This was so fun and so insightful and so inspiring and everything. I don't even know. I don't even have the words. I could give you a big, big hug, and I am
Yes, me
virtually right
too.
now,
Me
but
too.
hopefully someday soon in real.
Ah, yeah,
Thank you
absolutely.
so much. Thank you so
Oh,
much for being so wonderful. Thank you for sharing
oh,
everything that you have. I know
thank
how
you for
hard.
having me.
Yeah. Okay. One last question
Yes.
is, do you have anything upcoming that you would like to share? Anything that you would want our support with? People who are listening, how they can support you in ways that are possible, and where they can find you, follow you. Anything that you would
Hmm.
want to share here right now?
Yeah, well, my website is, live as always, laurafedorowicz.com. My Instagram, while I'm not often there, is there as well. In terms of support, I mean, I do have products that are available, but I would just say patience. I'm always an artist. I'm going to come back better than ever. I know that I will. So if you want to stick around for that day, that'd be great.
You
In
are.
the
I'm
meantime,
here.
yeah, you
I
guys will
know
stick
we're
with
all here.
me. We're all here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll be back better than ever. In the meantime, I'm just prioritizing mental health, rest, and I'm going to come back with bigger and better fire under my butt for next time.
Love, you are already on fire. Believe me.
Yeah.
Believe me. Believe me, I'm not saying this because I love you. You're who you are, but you are on fire and it's only
Yeah.
going to get better. And we will have you back again and we'll have
Yes,
this
of course.
conversation. And I know that whenever that's going to be, I know we'll know that moment. We'll know that moment.
Absolutely.
And we'll, you know, you we'll see that energy. I can't wait for that day.
I think it'll be so cool to be talking on the other side of it and see exactly where it goes because neither one of us know. So,
Yeah. And it's not going to be even for you. I know that we both will. Let's have this I don't know because that I know the universe will tell us when that is.
yep.
But we've shared our grief,
Yep.
our experiences together, and we'll also one day, very soon, share the other side of this bridge together.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to. That'd be great.
Perfect. That sounds amazing. I love you. I want to say a big thank you, a big hug.
Big
Thank
hug.
you so
Love you
much.
too.
I can't wait to see everything that you're doing, and you're doing amazing. You are the best.
Right back at you, friend. Love you too. Kiss those girls for
Bye.
me, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can find all the details and links mentioned in the show notes of this episode available on www.arts2heartsproject.com. And if you like this episode, please don't forget to tag us in your stories and leave us a review here on iTunes or any of your favorite platforms. It really helps us to keep the show going. Thank you so much. I'm sending you lots of love and I can't wait to be back here soon again. Bye.